Let's not forget that last week, Dominic Ayine told us that he had spoken to a former U.S. Attorney General who spoke as representing Ken Ofori-Atta together with two other lawyers, including the one who has spoken publicly that we all know. And they were seeking and asking for assurances that he will be giving the treatment, that should be accorded him if he, cooperated, and they were assured.
Samson, just to take it from where you're landing so I don't lose my train of thoughts, is that is a concession that they've run out of strategy. Now come in, because, I don't blame lawyers at all when it comes to issues like this and when it comes to representation of high-profile cases, especially matters of extradition or outside the jurisdiction. They will hold on to any form of strategy for their clients not to come in. And at the point where the ex-US Attorney General start to say, okay, well, can you give us assurances that his human rights would be intact, his XYZ would be okay, they're throwing in the towel. But once that will happen, either than that, they would have still gone on a long haul of strategy to protect this case as much as they could. Right. That said, it is a very interesting thing. I'll say it's a mixed feeling.
That's small bit. Yeah. Just a little legal joke.
Okay.
We say that when the law is on your side, you bank on the law.
Yes.
When the facts are on your side, you bank on the facts.
Yes.
When both are not, bank on the table.
Yes. And that's what is happening. But now they can't keep banging on the table, so they have to go into diplomacy. So what is happening in this case that makes it very interesting? For me, it's one of mixed feeling. But I don't see embarrassment as one of the key elements of the mixed feeling that we have as far as this case is concerned. For me, it is one, I don't know what to say if I come across either Mrs. Sremsai or Ayine, because it's a masterclass of strategy they've displayed. Masterclass in every sense of it. Because you'd see, the base of the hawks and the base of the political, doing something right, but they had their eyes on the ball, which they never dropped at any point. No one saw this coming. Absolutely. And if you look at extradition cases, the Guptas of South Africa are still in Dubai, right? Driving to Abu Dhabi to swear affidavits at the South African consulate and going back to Dubai to chill out for a long case, including the Zuma regime, because they believe they were part of it. This is even creating a diplomatic row between Pretoria and Abu Dhabi because they are unable to extradite them. It tells you how complex extradition cases can be. So the Attorney General and the Deputy, realizing the complexity, had other ways of doing it. That's why I call it a masterclass. There should be a case study on how they get this after all of this is done. So now, what happened is, if you realize that as the case went on, right, let's also not forget that bar Professor, the late long-serving finance minister, Kwesi Boche, Ken Ofori-Atta is probably the longest-serving finance minister.
That's right.
And that's very important, and important for the context of this discussion. He's held our purse in both prudential, fiduciary, and other responsibilities for such a very long time, right? So if this is happening, it means that it's a very, very high-profile case. That said, he's exhibited an act of bad faith. Why do I say this? You took permission from the Chief of Staff early January when your party had lost power. And if whatever information is out there is accurate, between the 2nd and 4th, so it means the new government had not come in. So if a Chief of Staff is granting you powers under the state, permission to go for health or medical care, it is only right that you show good faith, right, in the permission that has been granted you. You say, okay, well, if the FBI, the US sometimes, they advertise human rights, etc. If they deem you fit to put you in detention, it means you are fit to be on the next flight to Ghana, right? So you had expired that stay, and that is something we are still not contextualizing within this. So if he left Ghana and then he's back, he's been asked to come, if I were him, voluntarily, just come. Or say, look, I'm taking a break to come to see this. But what happened is, Manasseh, I think, put up a Facebook post earlier. Most people did not pay attention to it. Detailing the visas, his immigration status in terms of visas he has in his possession and their expiration periods. He flew a kite, very interesting kite. So what would have happened is, and you'd see here his lawyers has been very deliberate in actually making every move they made. You say you're in the US for medical care, right? your visa expires very soon, but you have a Canadian or possibly a UK visa, right? In their mind, this is me thinking. They could have said hypothetically that, oh, if he tried to move to the UK, even though he has a 9-year visa, right, he's only mandated by the immigration rules to be domiciled or to be there for a period of 6 months and would have to exit to go back in. So if his movement become a bit erratic, it shows that you are evading justice and not medical care.
Which, as we know the facts, he actually did. After the first 6 months or so in the US,
yes,
he went to the UK.
Yes.
Because you had to go,
out
and then come back in.
So
and then he came back in.
Yeah.
But the Interpol red notice had then been issued, which meant he couldn't move again. So if he moved, there was a fear that he'd be arrested anywhere he was going.
Chances are that triggered the red. Regulations and not to be in Ghana. You are fit to travel to the UK, but not fit to come to Ghana. Right. So we are not politicizing this at all, but this is where I think that commendation should be given where it ought to be given. Because if the Attorney General and the Deputy did not work, right? Because look, how the Chinese walled this to such an extent that nobody knew what was happening is very interesting.
But again, then,
right. So
if the Interpol red notice had also not been issued, then there would have been room and allowance to go to London and return, or go to the next other Canadian passport he has. No, he would have gone back.
Until last week, was the public aware that his visa was revoked?
No.
Has his lawyers challenged that his visa was not revoked? No. So you see how interesting it is and how it's playing out. But you see, another interesting feature in this extradition case that is worthy of commendation, not just on the part of the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, but also on the government, the President and Vice President, the Mahama Opoku-Agyeman administration, is that fairness, right? Non-political interference. You see institutions working. Sedna Tamakulu was not tried under an NDC government.
Correct.
He was tried under an NPP government. It is taking her own party's Attorney General to call for her extradition.
The extradition, as I know it, and Chairboy will join us.
Yeah.
He was the one who had a brief on it.
Yes.
It had already been done, but it had to be followed up. Well, and I think that's what.
Well, but even following up on it is a good faith in terms of continuity of government, because I mean, people have accused the Attorney General of discontinuing some cases. So if he had actually wanted, you say, okay, then if it is anything to go by, as I don't have the facts in studio, then you have said, okay, well, I'll discontinue this as well. But he went on, and I've had a success just in under 1 year of the government. You know, excluding the vetting periods and all of that, he's worked assiduously.
He said he could have said he would discontinue.
No,
this, because this one you can't discontinue.
No, when you say discontinue,
the trial has completed. No, he's been convicted and sentenced.
No. I'm talking about the extradition process.
Okay.
That
continue
the former
with that
Attorney
process.
General said had triggered. So he could have decided to be, indifferent about it, but he pursued it as much as he's pursuing it. So there's no case of political witch hunt. If you weigh the two. Right, Sedna's own party, right?
There has been a lot of pressure. Yeah. Once Oforiatta was being sought for or after, then the NPP consistently said, "Why are you looking to extradite Oforiatta when there is somebody that you are supposed to extradite that you haven't done?"
Regardless, that's where commendation ought to be given. It has to.
Right. Okay. So you hold it there for me. Let me go to Alfred Cheyebwa.